I'm still getting my breath back from those last 5 minutes. Hello, and welcome to another Bolts Analysis. I'm your host, Chris, as we talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning and the rest of the NHL. And it was a win, but at times it didn't feel like it was going to be one. Yes, Bolts win 5-3 at home against the Philadelphia Flyers. But, Philly, you gave us a heart attack at the end there. That's a team that I feel like if we faced them in a playoff series, it would be a struggle. Kind of for both teams. Because Philly, to begin with that game, weren't very good. It was a very chippy game, quite physical. It kind of felt like a playoff game. But some of the goals, no, not happy with the defensive play from Philly. Killorn banks one off Carter Hart, okay. Maybe that one, you don't really blame the defence. But the second one with Parquet, they're all sort of trying to get behind the net. There's no one out in front. So the second it goes to Paquette, they're all there going, oh no, that's 2-0. And then the third, Hedman kind of had, was sport for choice on who to play it to. And then decided to go for Verhaeghe, and that's 3-0. And as impressive as the pushback from Philly was, maybe don't make a habit of going down 3-0 on the road, because it always gives you a mountain to climb, regardless of who you're playing. It's always going to make it tough. But Provorov got it to 3-1, and even when, in the third, Point finished very nicely to make it 4-1. Lovely goal. And in the commentary they're saying, oh, that's a dagger. It's like, no, I don't think it is. I think Philly are still going to try and get something out of this, and try they did. 4-2 pretty quick early on, and then the shot that sort of rings off the post, and Vati desperately tries to get back to stop Giroux scoring, and it at first appearance kind of looks like he hasn't scored, but then he gets up and you go, oh, yeah, that puck's crossed the line. Giroux knew. I think Vasi kind of knew, and that's 4-3. And game management wasn't the greatest. Couple of icings where it just invites pressure. But Stamkos, great to have him back, manages a couple of very good face-off wins. And eventually it gets out to Kucherov. Great to have him back. He scores the empty netter. That makes it 5-3. And we're just about home and hosed. But that's, of all the games we've had in the 10-game winning streak, I feel like that's the toughest one we've had, certainly at home. Maybe not the toughest when you consider Columbus and Pittsburgh, but in that case, those were quite low-scoring games. Like, defensively, we were good, and we weren't pressured too much. Philly pressured us a lot, especially those last 5 minutes. But still, a win is a win. Where does that leave us? So, still 1 point behind Boston, because Boston, at the third time of asking, did beat the Detroit Red Wings 4-1. They're on 84, we're on 83. There is still a big gap between us and third. But Toronto did win last night. Toronto are now on the 70-point mark. So a 13-point gap. Pretty comfy. I could dedicate a whole video to the team that is fourth in the Atlantic and what has gone horribly wrong. But just to clarify, Florida lost again, 4-1, at home, again, to the Edmonton Oilers, meaning that since the All-Star break, they are 2 wins, 6 losses, and 1 overtime loss. 2, 6, and 1. I have no words. I have 1,000 and yet I'm not. We'll move on. Montreal in 5th, and probably feeling like they could steal 4th, did get a point but lost to Dallas. Buffalo, who also might feel that they might be able to sort of sneak up the rankings, depending on how Florida continue, are playing at home tonight. I think they're hosting Toronto. It's definitely Buffalo-Toronto, but it might be Toronto-Buffalo. Either way, that's a big game. It's a chance for Toronto to close the gap on us a little bit. But more importantly, Toronto can sort of open up a bit more of a buffer between themselves and Florida. And I feel like they need it, because they did beat Ottawa 4-2, but am I convinced by Toronto's defence? No. To be brief, no. So that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to be watching some Western Conference games later on today, and I'll kind of do a feature on the Western Conference. I'm probably going to look at Vancouver, Anaheim, seeing as Vancouver are top of the Pacific. But I may also cover Nashville, St. Louis, because Nashville are hunting for a wildcard spot, and St. Louis are top of the Central, but are having a wobble. But that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. This has been another Bolts analysis, and remember, we've got pretty much everyone back. Kucherov, Stamkos, Cirelli, good to see you. Maybe sort out the defence though. Just maybe.